Have you ever walked into a room, maybe a meeting, and just felt the whole dynamic shift the second one particular person comes in?
Oh, absolutely. Or, been on a team where one person's whole approach seems to completely change the mood
Mm.
and productivity even.
It's this really powerful thing, almost tangible, right?
Yeah.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into how that ripple effect actually works, especially when it comes to leadership.
Yeah, and it's really more than just a feeling. What we're unpacking today, it's not about like some huge corporate policy change or shuffling the org chart around.
No, nothing like that.
It's about something much more fundamental, something often overlooked but incredibly powerful. A leader's own internal shift, how they actually change their core mindset.
That's really the heart of it. And our guide for this exploration is this really insightful post by Gunther Williams. He's the CEO of Idaho Sewing for Sports, LLC.
Right. He shares some really fascinating observations from his own company and others too.
So our mission today is to really get our heads around the powerful and sometimes really surprising outcomes that happen when a leader genuinely shifts their inner world.
It's about moving past just, managing resources
Right.
to actually developing people. And we'll explore that specific internal change William saw and the truly astonishing results that rippled out from it. Changed the whole organization, really.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do we start?
Well, to really grasp how big this change was, we need to look at the before.
Set the scene.
Exactly. Gunther Williams talks about this leader, and by all standard metrics, she was good. Competent, capable, knew her stuff.
Technically skilled.
Totally. But despite that skill, the culture around her felt, as Williams puts it very vividly, transactional and guarded.
Yeah, I think many of us can picture that kind of environment. People doing their jobs, maybe hitting targets, but there's no real warmth, no
Yeah.
easy flow of communication.
Right. It's all very surface level. And the source really digs into her initial perspective, what they call an inward mindset.
Inward mindset. Okay.
So she saw her role almost entirely through this lens of control and efficiency.
Almost like managing a machine, it sounds like. Very clinical.
That's a good way to put it. And what's really key here is how that internal view shaped, everything, every interaction, every decision.
So team members weren't really seen as individuals.
Not really, not with their own unique ideas or, hopes or even problems. They were basically just resources to be managed, cogs in the machine.
And problems. Just obstacles.
Actual obstacles to overcome.
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
getting in the way of efficiency, not, say, chances to learn or grow or fix something fundamental.
So even with a competent leader, this inward focus created a kind of environment that wasn't really ideal.
Exactly. It actively held things back. And it wasn't just a feeling. Williams points to very specific, real problems that were always there.
Like what?
Well, these persistent conflicts between departments, stuff that just seemed baked in, lasted for ages.
Right. The kind of things that become just the way things are.
Precisely. And on top of that, a really noticeable lack of open communication. People just weren't sharing information freely. Maybe they were afraid, maybe they just didn't trust each other or leadership.
So you have this skilled leader, but because of this inward mindset focused on control, you get real friction.
Oh,
It actively stops the organization reaching its potential.
it really does.
Yeah.
Which naturally leads us to the pivotal moment.
Mm.
What happened when that internal view finally started to shift?
Because something did shift, right? William saw it happen.
Oh, yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting because the change wasn't like the result of some leadership course or a new management technique.
Not a checklist item.
No, it came from much deeper. Something shifted inside the leader herself. She started seeing her team members differently, not as objects, not as resources, but as
As people.
as people with their own goals, challenges, and aspirations. That's the core of it. A total reframing of how she saw everyone around her.
And it wasn't just acting differently, was it? Williams makes a point of this.
He really emphasizes it, calls it not a surface-level tactic. It was a fundamental shift from an inward to an outward mindset. That phrase, fundamental shift, it's crucial,
Yeah.
meaning it's a change at the deepest level, how you perceive things, not just behaving differently, but actually seeing the humanity in people differently, that internal compass recalibrating,
And that was the catalyst.
the undeniable catalyst for all the good stuff that followed.
So let's break that down. What did it mean for her day to day? The source says it wasn't about just being nice.
No, not in a fake or superficial way. It was about really developing the ability To see people clearly, authentically, who they are, what they need, their dreams, their worries.
Seeing the whole person.
Exactly. And that clarity, that new way of seeing, that's what unlocked real effectiveness, not just for her, but for the whole team. It's a powerful difference, isn't it? Not just acting nicely, but genuinely seeing differently.
It really is. And the effects, they weren't subtle, were they?
Not at all. Williams describes the results as astonishing. And get this, within months of this internal change, the organization saw real, tangible shifts.
What kind of shifts?
Those conflicts between departments, the ones that had been stuck for years, seemed impossible to solve.
Yeah.
They actually started to resolve. Think about that. Deeply embedded problems just unraveling because one person changed inside.
That's incredible. Years of friction dissolving. What else?
Communication started flowing more freely, which is just huge, isn't it? Imagine the difference when info and ideas aren't stuck behind guarded walls or lack of trust.
It's like opening a valve. Everything starts moving.
Precisely. And building right on that openness, Williams saw innovation increase, which makes sense, right? People feel safer, they share ideas, they try things.
They're not afraid to fail, maybe.
Exactly. And maybe the most striking thing, customer dissatisfaction was all but eliminated.
Wow. All but eliminated. That's a huge claim.
It is. But it shows how far that ripple can go, right? Outward to the people the company actually serves. When employees feel seen and valued, that positive energy just naturally flows into how they treat customers.
Okay, but let's dig into the how a bit more. How did this internal shift actually look in her daily interactions? What changed externally?
Yeah, good question. Williams says she became genuinely curious. So instead of assuming she knew the answers, she started asking better questions.
And listening differently, too.
Critically, she started listening without judgment, which sounds simple, but doing it consistently when things are busy or stressful, that's tough.
Absolutely. So this genuine curiosity, this non-judgmental listening, what did that create?
It created authenticity. Her authenticity wasn't forced. It just flowed naturally from seeing people differently. And that authenticity built something crucial for the team: psychological safety.
Psychological safety. That's the term for feeling okay to speak up, right? To challenge things or admit mistakes without getting punished.
Exactly that. When the leader is genuinely curious and listens without judging, it signals to everyone, it's safe here. Safe to be vulnerable. Safe to suggest things. Safe to say, this isn't working.
So her internal shift made her more authentic, which created safety.
And that safety allowed for something else really important: a huge improvement in conversational capacity.
Meaning the team got better at talking about tough stuff.
Way better. Their ability to discuss difficult issues openly and productively just skyrocketed. Problems that were probably hidden for years, festering under the surface, they started coming out because people felt safe enough and trusted enough to actually raise them.
And they didn't just complain, they solved them.
Solved collaboratively. That's the key. It wasn't just about feeling nicer. It was about becoming way more effective at solving real problems, driving real results. The internal shift led to tangible external improvement.
That's a really crucial link.
And Williams really stresses this. This massive transformation didn't need grand gestures, no big announcements or dramatic initiatives.
It wasn't about performance art.
Not at all. It was powered by small daily choices. Tiny adjustments in approach, consistently applied, all flowing from that internal shift.
Which really shows how the biggest changes can start small, start inside.
It's a powerful idea. Big impacts often come from quiet, internal recalibrations.
So what were some of these specific small daily choices that came from this outward mindset? Williams lists some, right?
He does, and they're really practical. First, approaching conversations with curiosity instead of judgment. We touched on that, but think how fundamentally that changes an interaction from the very start.
Yeah, it opens doors instead of slamming them shut.
Exactly. Another one, looking for ways to add value to others' lives. That's a big shift in focus, isn't it?
From what's in it for me to how can I help?
Precisely. It's a giving orientation. Then, being authentic rather than playing a role, dropping the mask, engaging as your real self.
Which connects back to that genuineness, creating psychological safety.
It does. And then there's remaining open to receiving feedback and support.
Oof. That's a hard one for a lot of people, especially leaders. Requires vulnerability.
It really does. Not just saying you're open, but actively seeking it, listening, showing you've heard it, even when it's difficult.
And the last one he mentions.
Recognizing when we've slipped into self-deception, that requires serious self-awareness, right? Catching yourself when your internal story isn't quite matching reality or when you're just making excuses.
Wow. That's a deep one.
It is. And if you tie all these choices together, Williams's core message becomes crystal clear. He says, leadership isn't about managing resources. It's about developing people.
Right.
And developing people starts with seeing them clearly, as they are, with their own legitimate needs, challenges, and aspirations.
But really sums it up that it's not just a nice idea, it's the foundation for everything else, moving from transaction to transformation.
Perfectly put. And this is where the magic, if you want to call it that, of the ripple effect really kicks in. It becomes self-sustaining.
How so?
It's not just the leader behaving this way. Because she's consistent, she's authentic, she's outward-focused, the team members start mirroring that approach.
So they start being more curious with each other, more authentic.
Exactly. They start looking for ways to add value to each other. It's like positive social contagion.
That makes sense. The leader sets the tone, demonstrates the behavior, and it spreads.
And that amplification is what creates the real, lasting organizational transformation. What began as one person's internal shift doesn't stay contained.
It becomes the culture.
It becomes the culture, characterized by mutual respect, open dialogue, and continuous improvement. It gets baked into how things are done, fostering an environment where growth and connection are just normal, all from that initial internal change.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it's really striking just how much power there is in leaders' internal mindset. Often underestimated, I think.
Definitely. We've seen how one person changing their perspective can literally reshape a whole organization's culture, its performance, not through big commands, but through the quiet power of how they choose to see.
See the world and see the people in it. Which brings up a really important question for you listening right now. Think about your own sphere of influence. Could be work, could be your community group, could even be at home.
Yeah, where do you have an impact?
What small daily internal shift could you make? How you see others, maybe. How you approach interactions. What might happen if you really committed to approaching things with curiosity, not judgment.
Or actively look for ways to add value to someone else's day. What ripple effect might you create, maybe unexpectedly?
What could genuinely seeing others with their own goals, their own challenges, their own hopes, what could that unlock in your world?
It's a powerful thought.
Definitely something to reflect on as you navigate your own leadership path, whatever that looks like.